You know the words now. Yeah, lie, la, lie. That's it. Lie, lie, la, lie. Yeah, lie, la, lie. Yeah, lie, 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 yeah, la, lie. Yeah, lie, yeah, lie, yeah, la, lie. Yeah, yeah, la, lie, 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 yeah. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. Oh, that nigun always gets me going. So, one Shabbat morning, a mother went to wake up her son to tell him it was time to, of course, get ready to go to temple, to shul, to which he replied, "I'm not going." "Why not?" she asked. "I'll give you 2 reasons. He says, 1, they don't like me, and 2, I don't like going. And his mother replied, "Well, I'll give you 2 reasons why you should go to temple. 1, you're getting close to 40 years old. And 2, you're the rabbi." So, hey, I'm so glad that we're all here together on this beautiful Friday evening. It'll be a little cold, but we got the sun back. And we're actually ramping up our programming here in our new synagogue building at Temple Israel. For the first time in a long time, we're going to have a unique Shabbat morning service tomorrow. So I hope you can wake up just like me and join us for that. We're actually celebrating the anniversary, I believe, of our own Ron Friedman, who's celebrating his bar mitzvah anniversary since 1966. So you can do the math on that.
He asked his cantor to help him relearn his portion again. So he is chanting Torah. Amazing. Yes. 56 years.
Good math.
So you can still do that.
Absolutely. So it's going to be a really beautiful Shabbat experience. All 3 clergy will be there leading different portions of the service. Hope you can join us tomorrow at 10 a.m. I think there's RSVP links that have been sent to your emails. Yes, and tonight I'm joined by Cantor Jenna Greenberg and Cantor Batami Moses, of course. So thrilled to have you join us for our Shabbat services tonight. So I want to wish everyone, again, Shabbat Shalom. I'm going to be providing some various quotes on Shabbat throughout the evening. The first is actually from one of my favorite Jewish comedians, Elon Gold, who said that Shabbat is not about selfies, selfies that you post on Facebook or Instagram. Shabbat is about the social, but not the media. Okay, so we may be streaming on YouTube, but the important thing is that you are watching and you're here with us in spirit. And we want to wish everybody there on YouTube Shabbat Shalom. And of course, I want to wish everybody here in person Shabbat Shalom. So please take a minute, turn to your neighbors in your row, in the row behind you. Wish each other Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Thank you, Rabbi Klein. And now I'd love to invite my friend Nancy Shapiro-Rappaport to come and bring in more Shabbat lights with our Shabbat candles as we sing together, Ma Yafeh Hayom, how beautiful is this day, this moment we can be together. And after we sing and light, we'll say the blessing together. Ma Yafeh Hayom, Shabbat Shalom. Ma Yafeh Hayom, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. And we bring in the warmth of Shabbat and the warmth of community, and we sing together. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat. Shabbat Shalom, Toda Rabah. Friends, we open our Sidurim, our prayer books, to page 12 for our Kabbalat Shabbat, for welcoming Shabbat in with these beautiful psalms as we sing together. Come, let us sing joyously to Adonai, page 12. Lechu neranena l'Adonai, nariya litzur yishenu, nekadma fanav betoda, bizbiot nariya lo. Shiru l'Adonai, shir chadash, shiru l'Adonai kol haaretz, shiru l'Adonai v'archu shemo, basru miyom leyom leshuato, zapru v'goyim kevodo v'chol ha'amim nifreotav, ki gadol Adonai u'lo me'od, norahu al kol Elohim, ay, ki kol Elohei ha'amim elilim, v'Adonai shamayim asa, od v'hadar lefanav, ufetiferet b'mikdasho, yalai, yalai, yai, 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 yalai, yalai, yai, yai, lalai, yai, 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 yai,
So I believe we turn now to page 17. We encounter the Psalm of Romamu, where we lift God up. But I'll have to tell you, I know that for some of us, this might be our first time at services, first time in this building. And I'll tell you, the acoustics only work if you join with us singing. So without further ado, Romamu, we're on page 17.
It's good, because they know this one. They have their part.
Bottom of the page. Bottom of the page.
רוממו אדוני אלוהינו והשתחוו להר קודשו. רוממו אדוני אלוהינו והשתחוו להר קודשו. כי קדוש אדוני אלוהינו רוממו. כי קדוש אדוני אלוהינו רוממו.
So I promised a few pieces on Shabbat from various writers throughout the evening. And I want to share one I encountered from the late Leonard Cohen, who wrote this piece on Shabbat to Mark Chagall. So Aleichem HaShalom. It goes like this. Out of the land of heaven, down comes the warm Sabbath sun into the spice box of earth. The queen will make every Jew her lover in a white silk coat. Our rabbi dances up the street, wearing our lawns like a green prayer shawl, brandishing houses like silver flags. Behind him dance his pupils, dancing not so high, and chanting the rabbi's prayer, but not so sweet. And who waits for him on a throne at the end of the street but the Sabbath queen? Down go his hands into the spice box of the earth, and there he finds the fragrant sun for a wedding ring, and draws her wedding finger through. Now back down the street they go, dancing higher than the silver flags. His pupils somewhere have found wives too, and all are chanting the rabbi's song and leaping high in the perfumed air. Who calls him rabbi? Cart horse and dogs call him rabbi. And he tells them, the queen makes every Jew her lover. And gathering on their green lawns, the people call him rabbi and fill their mouths with good bread and his happy song. So we're going to join song and greet the queen too with Lacha Dodi. We do stanzas 1, 2, 5, and 9, beginning on page 20.
La 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 la, Lacha Dodi. Ya la 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 la, likrat kala. Ya la 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 la, pnei Shabbat. Pnei Shabbat nekabela. Ya la 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 la, Lacha Dodi. Ya la 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 la, likrat kala. Ya la 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 la, pnei Shabbat. Pnei Shabbat nekabela. Shamor וזכור בדיבור אחד ישמיענו אל המיוחד אדוני אחד ושמו אחד לשם ותפארת ולתהילה. יא לי לי, יא לה 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 לה, Lacha Dodi. יא לי לי לי, לקראת כלה. יא לה 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 לה, פני שבת, פני שבת נקבלה. לקראת שבת, לכו ונלכה, כי מקור הברכה, מראש מקדם נסוכה, סוף מעשה מחשבה תחילה. יא לה 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 נחת אותי, יא לה 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 לקראת כלה. יא לה 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 פני שבת, פני שבת נקבלה. Page 21 verse 5. התעוררי, התעוררי, כי באורך קומי אורי. It means awake, awake. אורי, אורי, שיר דברי, כבוד אדוני עלייך נגלה. יא לה 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 נחת אותי, יא לה 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 לקראת כלה. יא לה 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 פני שבת, פני שבת נקבלה. We rise and face the opening of the synagogue, the entrance to welcome the bride. בואי ושלום, עטרת בעלה, גם בשמחה ובשורה, תוך אמוני עם סגולה. בואי חלה, בואי חלה. יא לה 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 נחת אותי, יא לה 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 לקראת כלה. יא לה 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 פני שבת, פני שבת נקבלה. יא לה 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 נחת אותי, יא לה 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 לקראת כלה. יא לה 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 פני שבת, פני שבת נקבלה. You may be seated.
I don't know about you, but I was so lost in how beautiful our cantor's voice is and our cantor's piano playing is. I forgot which door the Shabbat bride came in. Was it the south door or the west door? We got to figure that one out.
We continue on page 22. Let's read this psalm together in English. A psalm, a song for Shabbat. It is good to praise Adonai, to sing hymns to your name, O Most High, to proclaim your steadfast love at daybreak, your faithfulness each night, with a 10-stringed harp, with voice and lyre together. You have gladdened me by your deeds, Adonai. I shout for joy at your handiwork. How great are your works, Adonai. How very subtle your designs. A brute cannot know, a fool cannot understand this. The righteous bloom like a date palm. They thrive like a cedar in Lebanon. Planted in the house of Adonai, they flourish in the courts of our God. In old age, they still produce fruit. They are full of sap and freshness, attesting that Adonai is upright, my rock in whom there is no wrong. And we sing that last paragraph in Hebrew, a beautiful melody. Sadiq Katamar. Sadiq Katamar yifrach ke'erez balvanon yizgar shetulim beveit Adonai bechatzorot Elohim. Yashar Adonai Tsuri Vedo Avlatabo. We turn to page 26 for Chatzi Kaddish. Yitgadal v'yitkadash Shmei Rabba.
Amen.
Ba'amad yivrach chirutei v'yamlik malchutei. V'chayechon uvyomechon uv'chayei d'chol Beit Yisrael. Bagala, bagala, uvizman kariv ve'imeru. Amen. Yehi Shmei Rabba mevorach le'olam lo ve'amaya. Yitbarach, yitbarach, v'yishtabach, v'yitbar v'yitbama v'yinaseh, v'yitadar v'yitaleh, v'yitalal. Shemei Kurusha, brichu le'lam min kol bechata v'shirata. Tushbechata v'nechemata, damiran ve'alma, ve'imeru. Amen.
I want to add before the Baruch Hu a quick reading from Rabbi Arnold Jacob Wolf, Zecher Tzadik Livracha. The work that is forbidden by Jewish law on the Sabbath is not measured in the expenditure of energy. It takes real effort to pray, to study, to walk to synagogue. They are rest, but not restful. Forbidden work is acquisition, aggrandizement, altering the world. On Shabbat, we are obliged to be, to reflect, to love and make love, to eat, to enjoy. And I would add one more effort-intensive act of please rising if you're able. For
And
Baruch Hu.
singing, right?
Right.
We rise on page 28. Baruchu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach le'olam va'ed, le'olam va'ed. La 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 ya ya, ya la la ya ya, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la la ya ya, ya la la ya ya, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 ya.
Please
You may
take
be
a
seated.
seat. On page 31 at the top, please join me in this reading from our Siddur, page 31 at the top. Praise to you, Adonai our God, from whom the evening flows. Your wisdom sets the way on which time and season glide. Your breath guides the sail of the stars. Creator of the tide of time and light, you guide the current of day into night, as heaven spans to infinity. You set its course for eternity. Praise to you, Adonai our God, from whom the evening flows.
Baruch atah Adonai Amariv Aravim
to page 32 for another reading, which includes the concept of rejoicing, and perhaps all the more so, we're in this month of Adar, leading up to the second month of Adar, of Purim, so find these ways to bring happiness into our lives, such as immersing ourselves in Torah. Please join me on page 32. Everlasting love you offered your people Israel by teaching us Torah and mitzvot, laws and precepts. Therefore, Adonai our God, when we lie down and when we rise up, we will meditate on your laws and your commandments. We will rejoice in your Torah forever. Day and night we will reflect on them, for they are our life, and doing them lengthens our days. Never remove your love from us. Praise to you, Adonai, who loves your people Israel.
Baruch atah Adonai, ohev ama Yisrael. Page 34. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Vahed. Page 36. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha bechol levavcha uvechol nafshecha uvechol meodecha. Ve'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavcha hayom levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam b'shivtecha v'vetzacha uvlachtecha v'derech uvshokbecha uvkumecha וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אדוני אלוהיכם אמת.
We continue in song on page 40 with the words of Micha Mocha, a chance to reflect on that very delicate concept of Norah, balancing fear, being terrified with awesome beauty as we open our eyes to the wonders of God on the Shabbat.
מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נדר בקודש, נורא תהילות אוסף למלכותך ראו בניך, בוקע ים לפני משה ומרים זה לי, ענו ואמרו אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד, ונאמר כי פדה אדוני את יעקב וגאלו מיד חזק ממנו, ברוך אתה אדוני
Amen. Friends, Chevre, we're hiring. I imagine many of you have had the experience of reviewing a job description, perhaps as the employer, perhaps as the applicant. I just went through this past year. That's how I'm here, of course.
Yay.
And you might be aware that we're continually searching for a maintenance person, right? Job descriptions are definitely on our mind. And in most job descriptions, one reads how the employer is looking for like the most incredible candidate. The employer may even seem rather overambitious. They're all the typical cliches in the job description. The ideal candidate has the ability to plan ahead, excellent interpersonal communication skills, the ability to multitask in a fast-moving environment. The organization is looking for someone with unique skills, abilities, and knowledge in every kind of craft, many of which go beyond the basics of what one would expect in the job. But what if the job description added that the ideal candidate would know how to take a day off? Like, really take the day off. Poor guys in the background here. Truly disconnect. Don't check your email. Don't think about work. Forget about us for 25 hours. And the job description would note, this is the most important requirement of the job. Never let other expectations take that day away from you. It seems too good to be true, right? But Shabbat, our holy day off, is a real concept, and it has always been there for us. The concept of Shabbat, a day of rest, goes back to creation. However, at different points in the Torah, it reappears in new light. Shabbat is held to contrast with slavery and work. It is used as a measure for counting time. Everything and everyone is entitled to a Shabbat. Israelite, non-Israelite, human, animal, even the land gets a Shabbat. Here in our parasha, our Torah portion, Kitisa, Shabbat is contrasted with divinely appointed work. The building of the Mishkan, the tabernacle, the vessel which carried the 2 sets of tablets of the 10 Commandments. In our parasha, there appears to be something very much like a job description, but with that divine Jewish twist of Shabbat. 1 minute, God is telling Moses about artisans hand-selected for the great project of the Mishkan. These artisans, Bezalel and Oholiav. And then God says, Ach. This is perhaps my second favorite Hebrew word after skach on Sukkot. God says, Ach, but, or nevertheless, you must keep Shabbat. For this is a sign between me and you throughout the ages, that you may know that I, God, made you holy. And then perhaps we can imagine God sings to Moses with that divine melody that is, of course, from Mount Sinai. Vishamru v'nei Yisrael. What a divine boss, am I right? No matter what I tell you to do, God says, don't ever forget to take a break. And why is that? Well, because Shabbat was the first full day humanity ever experienced with God. While I was in rabbinical school, I adamantly sought to know elements of our Jewish tradition that were truly unique, with no connection to Near Eastern cultures in the region of ancient Israel. I found two. One is our unique reverence for blood as a symbol for life, and therefore to be avoided when eating. And the other is Shabbat. There is no evidence for any other day of rest on a 7-day cycle. I'm telling you folks, we invented the weekend. The workers appointed to build the Mishkan had to pause on Shabbat. The prioritization of observing Shabbat over building the Mishkan makes sense. As the commentary Etz Chaim states, if there is a conflict between the holiness of space and the holiness of time takes precedence. Time came first. The first thing that God sanctified was the Shabbat. It's accessible to everyone, to all humanity. One cannot defer it or return to it. If one misses the moment, it's gone forever. That is to say, there will always be another day to continue a project. But Shabbat, this holy 25-hour experience, you will never get it back. Now, paradoxically, the concept of Shabbat is eternal. In contrast to a physical mishkan made of materials that will eventually decompose, Shabbat is like a castle in time. This is the metaphor coined by famous Rabbi Abraham Joshua Heschel, Zecher Tzadik Livracha. And I think he intends to capture here in this phrase, castle in time, both the beauty and the limitless nature of Shabbat. In his incredible book on the Sabbath itself, he writes, monuments of stone are destined to disappear. Days of spirit never pass away. While we can only experience each Shabbat once, our text tells us the Sabbath never ceases to be. Ot hi le'olam is a sign for all time, an eternal sign. Now, our employers will likely not view Shabbat as we do. We must be the ones to give it precedence. I cannot tell you the number of Jews I encounter who tell me that they cannot ask for their day off on Shabbat. They don't ask, let alone for a major holiday like Rosh Hashanah or Yom Kippur, which is also called the Shabbat of Shabbats. We must add Shabbat to our own job description. Our tradition tells us when one observes the Sabbath, it is as though one created it. It takes action to make it your own. Achad Cha'am, the early Zionists, wisely observed, the Jewish people do not keep Shabbat. Shabbat keeps the Jewish people. If we do not, we're all going to lose. Now, the famous Hebrew poet, Chaim Nachman Bialik, knew the benefits of Shabbat that modern workers today are only starting to recognize. Vacation days, days off, enhance productivity during the work week. Bialik appreciated the Sabbath as a day of rest, of reflection, and of balance. Without Shabbat, he said, the workdays become insipid. Bialik loved Shabbat so much, he invented our modern concept of the oneg, without which, who could properly schmooze after services? Now, I'll be honest. As someone who has responsibilities on Shabbat, holy ones, I admit, finding an extended block of time to disconnect from the devices that I rely on can be incredibly challenging. The nature of our digitally dependent society and our hairy lives truly challenges the accessibility of Shabbat. But even when I find a morning or an afternoon to unplug and recharge, I immediately can observe the benefits. Now, I know I'm preaching to the choir here with all of you attending Shabbat services at this very moment. But please, tell your friends that you must try this beautiful thing that we have called Shabbat. Add Shabbat to the job description. You'll be surprised by what Shabbat does for you. Now, in my rabbinical school, we had fantastic library sales, starting off at $1 a book, and it only got better from there. And one year, I was able to acquire a guide to observing Shabbat called Gates of Shabbat, Sha'arei Shabbat, by the CCAR, which is the Central Conference of American Rabbis, Reform Rabbis, of which I am a part. And this book was from 1991, not long after I came into the world. Gates of Shabbat guides readers in observing Shabbat rituals, but also in choosing a Shabbat practice. It offers a number of questions to help each of us as Reformed Jews decide which activities to include or not. It asks, will this activity lend Shabbat a quality of Kiddushah, holiness, or a sense of liberation, or a sense of wonder at God's creation? Does this activity bring me closer to the Jewish people? Whatever you choose to do on Shabbat, whether you attend shul, you sign out of your email inbox, or you join my 8th grade class for a ski trip, I hope that you find a Shabbat experience that feels both right and rejuvenating for you. Now, in just a moment, our cantors will lead us in the Hashkivenu, followed by the words found in our Torah portion, V'shamru. And at the end of that passage, we encounter the Hebrew word, Vayinafash. In Vayinafash, you may hear the noun nefesh, a term that can refer to a person's life, essence, vitality, psychic energy, or essential character. When we say that we and God Vayinafash on Shabbat, what we really mean to communicate is a notion of a fresh infusion of spiritual and physical vigor, the revival of one's total being. We take and become a breath of fresh air, a life-giving force to all. We join together now in Hashkivenu.
Page 42. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leshalom ve'hamidenu shomreinu lechaim. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leshalom ve'hamidenu shomreinu. Page 44, we sing V'shamru together. V'shamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, la'asot et ha-Shabbat, le'dorotam brit olam, beini uvein b'nei Yisrael, ati le'olam, ki sheshet yamim asa Adonai, asa Adonai, et hashamayim ve'et haaretz, uvayom hashvi'i Shabbat vayinafash. V'shamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, la'asot et ha-Shabbat, le'dorotam brit olam. V'shamru v'nei Yisrael
Yasher koach. I often use the silence of the Amidah to think of each member of my family, since many of my family members, they're not here, but I am making plans to see my little niece soon. And on Shabbat, we reach out to our family, whether it's our immediate family or our community here, our family of Temple Israel. And in our Amidah, we ask God to recognize us as members of our family, tracing our heritage, our inheritance back to Abraham and Sarah. And in this Torah portion, Ki Tisa, it tells us of how this connection has such great power, even the power to change God's mind, to turn punishment into blessing. Thanks to them, we think of our family this Shabbat, of those who came before us and their blessings, as we rise, if you're able, for the Amidah on page 46.
Adonai sifatai tiftach ufi yagid tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Page 48. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, v'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, v'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, v'Konei Hakol, v'Zocher Chasdei Avot v'Imahot, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה. מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם בעזרת שרה. Page 50. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי הכל אתה רב להושיע. משיב הרוח ומוריד הגשם, מחלחל חיים בחסד, בחיי הכל ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר. מי כמוך בעל גבורות ומדומה לך, מלך ממית ומחיה ומצמיח ישועה, ונאמן אתה להחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני מחיי הכל. Page 52. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יהללוך סלה. ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש. We continue privately using the traditional words of the Siddur to page 62. And of course, God understands the words of your own heart. So please feel free to be contemplative and thoughtful and have your own prayer. And when you're done, feel free to be seated, and we'll conclude with a prayer for healing. the conclusion of our personal prayers, we also add a collective prayer for all those we love who need a refuat ha-nefesh and refuat ha-guf, a full healing of body and soul. So we turn to page 253 as we sing together the Misha Berach. And in between the verses, I will share the names aloud for those in our congregation we're praying for, and I'll invite you at that time also to share the names aloud, the people in your hearts. The ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. We are praying for Lev Heschel ben Batami Yaakov, Nechabat Sarah Rivka Aran David ben Pialea, Harav Tuvia Levi ben Yosef Tzvia Kohen Ubatya, Yaakov Yitzchak ben David Verachav, Eliyahu ben Sarah, Harav Ruvain Shlomo ben Mendel Velea, Naomi bat Miriam veharav Yosef, Gittel bat Yehuda vechaya, Sissel Chana bat Yita Rivka, Levia bat Rachel, Gavriela bat Nechemia Udvora, Avraham Anshel Halevi ben Miriam, Elianu Shai bat Benyamin v'Shira Leah, Sandor ben Sarah, Miriam bat Simcha v'Shifra, Sarah Masha bet Genosha v'Moshe, Tammy Burke, Jerry Bain, Corey Casperson, Becky Caudle, Pat Caudle, Barton Cohen, Pamela Cohen, Bree Craig, George Dickerson, Larry Footer, Karen Gillen, Warren Grove, Barney Greenbaum, Annette Harris, Ethan Kadish. We're praying for Helga Kaplan, Ray Carlsberger, Delma Killinger, Marilyn Lassen, Bill Lazaro, Cheryl Logan, Gerald McBreedy, Marilyn Mendelman, Hassan Noah, Anthony Paneth, Clark Patton, Scott Qualls, David Schulman, Harriet Sobolisky, Annette Turner, Mary Lou Wagner, Herb Vile, and I invite you to include those names aloud for who you're praying for. Those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen.
Wish them all refuah shlema. We continue on page 258. Please join me in this prayer for our country at the bottom of the page, the last paragraph. O guardian of life and liberty, may our nation always merit your protection. Teach us to give thanks for what we have by sharing it with those who are in need. Keep our eyes open to the wonders of creation and alert to the care of the earth. May we never be lazy in the work of peace. May we honor those who have died in defense of our ideals. Grant our leaders wisdom and forbearance. May they govern with justice and compassion. Help us all to appreciate one another and to respect the many ways that we may serve you. May our homes be safe from affliction and strife, and our country be sound in body and spirit. Amen.
And on the page, right across from the page on 259, a prayer for the state of Israel. Please join me. O Heavenly One, protector and redeemer of Israel, bless the state of Israel, which marks the dawning of hope for all who seek peace. Shield it beneath the wings of your love. Spread over it the canopy of your peace. Send your light and truth to all who lead and advise, guiding them with your good counsel. Establish peace in the land and fullness of joy for all who dwell there. Amen. And we sing together. Avinu, Avinu, Sheba Shamayim, Sur Yisrael veGohala. Avinu, Avinu, Sheba Shamayim, Sur Yisrael veGohala. We turn to page 282 and rise for our Aleinu prayer, the paragraph at the top. Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שהוא נוטה שמיים ויוסד ארץ, ומושב יקרו בשמיים ממעל, ושכינת עוזו בגובי מרומים, הוא אלוהינו אין עוד. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. Page 287. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד. You may be seated.
I have a reading from one of the rabbis I mentioned before, Rabbi Abraham Joshua Heschel, from his book, The Sabbath. Unless one learns how to relish the taste of Shabbat, of the Sabbath, while still in this world, unless one is initiated in the appreciation of eternal life, one will be unable to enjoy the taste of eternity in the world to come. Sad is the lot of who arrives inexperienced and then led to heaven, has no power to perceive the beauty of the Sabbath. While Jewish tradition offers us no definition of the concept of eternity, it tells us how to experience the taste of eternity or eternal life within time. Eternal life does not grow away from us. It is planted within us, growing beyond us. The world to come is therefore not only a posthumous condition dawning upon the soul on the morrow after its departure from the body. The essence of the world to come is Sabbath eternal. And the seventh day in time is an example of eternity. The seventh day has the flavor of the seventh heaven and was given as a foretaste of the world to come. Ot hi le'olam, a token of eternity.
Amen.
We think now of those who have moved on to this world beyond, but are still with us very much in memory in this world. I'll ask you to share the names of those you are thinking of in just a moment as I share the names I'm aware of in our community. We are observing Shiva, the first week of mourning for Norman Arndt. We're observing Shloshim the first 30 days for Ibby Moser and Doreen Rosen. We're also observing the Yortzites of Max Barkas, Anthony Barna, Paul Califf, Elizabeth Dowell, Fanny Con Efron, Martin Fuhr, Esther Fine, Roland I. Finkelman, Morris Garrick, Max Geckler, Nathan Gerson, Geraldine Glatzine, Julia Glick, William Goldberg, Lawrence B. Gordon, Larry Goss, Lynn Gutter, Gertrude Barkas Henkin, Helene Klein, Carl Cloth, Elsie Kotler, Mark Levy, Edward Charles Levine, Carl H. Lustig, Irving Manson, Doris Miller, Paul Mosenter, John Nolan, Dorothy Rosenbaum, Robert Sanders, Lane Schwager, Mary Friedman Schuller, Morton Smiley, Harry Snyder, Howard T. Stern, Barbara Stone, Alice Tenenbaum, Sophie Tall, Esther Tall Tuckerman, Joseph N. Weiss, Mildred L. Yankin. I invite you now to please share the names of those that you are thinking of. I invite you to please rise. If you're observing Shiva, Shloshim, the first week, the first 30 days, Shana, the first year, or 11 months, or if you're observing a Yortzeit, the anniversary of a death. We think of all those names that were mentioned aloud tonight. We say, Zichronam livracha. May all of their memories be for a blessing. We turn now to the words of the Mourner's Kaddish, which can be found on page 294. We join together. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabba.
Amen.
Ve'alma divrach yirteh ve'amlich malchuteh. V'chayechon u'vyomechon v'chaye d'chol Beit Yisrael. Ba'agala v'izman kariv v'imru Amen.
Amen.
Yehi shemei Rabba mevarach le'olam u'lamei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yipa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yit'aleh v'yithalal shmei kudusha brichu. Leila min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbachata v'nechemata, da'miran be'alma v'imru Amen. Yehi shlama Rabba min shemaya, v'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru Amen. Oseh shalom b'imromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru Amen. May the one who creates harmony on high bring peace to all Israel, to all of us, to all the world, would you say Amen?
Amen.
Amen. Please feel free to take a seat.
As we lift this Kiddush cup, we just have a couple of announcements. As Rabbi Klein said, we are ramping up our programming and just love having people and togetherness, period. And this Shabbat, we're having a morning minyan tomorrow, and there is no Musar class, I'm told, to announce, but it will be Jewish meditation via Zoom, as there is every Shabbat. And then also Purim is coming up, and we are celebrating a couple weeks earlier with our Purim spiel, which is Esther and the Beast. So everyone should come. We're doing a special pre-Shabbat play on March 4th. So is that next Shabbat? Oh my goodness.
We got the two
I need one more rehearsal with the kids. But so yes, March 4th, and then Sunday school at our amazing religious school. Everyone's invited to all school tefillah, which will also be sharing the Purim spiel. So I think that's it for now. And check our website. Once again, to Rabbi, to my dear friend. We went to cantorial school together. So, you know, that was a long time ago. But we raise a glass of joy as we sing, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu. V'shabbat kodsho be'ava uvratzon hinchilanu, zikaron ma'aseh v'reshit, כי הוא יום תחילה למקראי קודש, זכר ליציאת מצרים. כי בנו בחרת ואותנו קידשת מכל העמים, ושבת קודשך באהבה וברצון הנחלתנו. ברוך אתה אדוני מקדש השבת.
Amen.
L'chaim.
L'chaim.
Again, also thank you to Ruth and Zach and Amy back there who have welcomed everyone and got us on YouTube, I hope. Thank you for all of your help. And as we bring out the challah, the homemade challah, I might add, right? Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen. Go ahead, Rabbi. What were you going to say?
I want to wish all of you a Shabbat Shalom, Menucha, a Shabbat of rest and of peace. We'll sing a song of peace together. We'll say Shalom. Izzy, help them all stand up, please.
We'll say Shalom b'romav, u'ya'asi Shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel, ve'yimnu, amen. We'll say Shalom b'romav, u'ya'asi Shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel, ve'yimnu, amen. Ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la. Oh, say Shalom b'romav, u'ya'asi Shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel, ve'yirah. Amen. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. Come say hi if you're a new face. Shabbat
Yasher
Shalom.
koach.
You too, Yasher koach.